Hey, it's me again. I feel like we may need to get an intro soon. Um, Today's going to be a little bit different to the few videos I've uploaded already. It's not like I'm a prolific YouTuber or anything with my 8 subscribers and my handful of videos. But I thought you might be interested in knowing kind of what the highs and lows are for a lactation consultant. So some of you watching this might be a lactation consultant and want to know that you're not alone. Some of you might be thinking of training or in the process of training, and I hope that this sort of content will be useful for you. And some of you might just like to know what life as an IBCLC is like. So we're going to start with the lows because I always like to end things on a positive note. So we'll start with the lows. For me, so I'm in private practice, and that means that I don't work for the NHS, I work for myself, and parents hire me to go and spend some time with them. So, they pay me, I go into their home, I do my work, and I leave. And the difficulty with that at times is that it's just me. I'm not part of a bigger team. I don't have colleagues. I have, there are other lactation consultants who I'm friends with and who, we talk to each other and we have that kind of a community. But it's not the same as going back to the office after a difficult home visit if you were a health visitor or a community nurse or something, and being able to kind of debrief and talk through with your colleagues what you've just experienced and get their ideas as well. I have to make sure I actively seek out supervision, support, peer-to-peer chat, if you like, from my colleagues. Let me move you a bit closer. I don't like that you can see in the left-hand corner the rucksack we do on day trips and the box of tools my husband's left. It just looks a bit messy, but look at the rest of my beautiful office. That's better. There, that's better, isn't it? So that's one of the downsides is, you might have a difficult case and kind of have nobody to just sort of go and go, oh, that was really hard. I wasn't sure what to do. I wasn't sure what to say. Unless, you actively kind of go onto your, text messages or Facebook or somewhere and say, is anyone around for a debrief? Because I could really do with chatting things through. And, one of the nice things is that those people are there. I can reach out, I can find them. But it's just not the same. It can be quite lonely at times. One of the other downsides is I feel quite often that I have to work really hard to maintain a positive relationship with NHS professionals. Not all of them, definitely not all of them. There are some people who are really open to having a good relationship with me, but there are a few who really struggle with the idea of paid breastfeeding support and private practice lactation consultants, and may respond in such a way that means I feel like I'm walking on eggshells a lot of the time when I have to contact them about a client. That can be hard. What else is the downside? It doesn't pay very well. People think because we charge, sort of 80, 90, £100 for a consultation that we must be raking it in. But if you consider wear and tear on my car, my insurance, the equipment I might hand out, the time getting to you, the time getting back to you, the bits beforehand setting up the appointment, the bits afterwards when I'm writing a report and following up with you that I don't charge for, contacting your healthcare provider if needed. By the time you add up all those hours, actually our hourly rate works out as quite low. And if you add into that things like this, I'm not being paid for this, running social media, all that sort of stuff takes time and dedication, and I do it because I enjoy it. And I'm very privileged that actually I can. It's okay. There are many people, that find that the the lack of income is a barrier. And the other challenge we have is there's a large group of IBCLCs and breastfeeding practitioners that carry guilt about charging for what we do, or feel that it should be free at the point of access for all women, all parents. And that makes it hard to set our fees higher because that group of people may keep their fees low through guilt or feeling that they don't need to charge more for it because it's a bit of a hobby for them or whatever. And those of us that are trying to earn a living from it kind of then have to push our prices down to kind of fit in with everyone else's. There needs to be some sort of industry standard, I think, for how much we charge. That would be super helpful. So those are the downsides, but there are some really lovely positives. Anyone who's involved in breastfeeding support or who has helped a friend to breastfeed will know that moment of just joy when you show something to a mum or a parent, depending how they identify, and it works. So they go from being perhaps in excruciating pain to all of a sudden having no pain. And the look on their face in that moment, you know, that you see their shoulders relax, and there's a moment they kind of go, oh, oh, it doesn't hurt. And it just takes them a second. They're bracing for pain and it's not there. And I mean, that is so rewarding. And then when they come back to you weeks or months later and say, hey, guess what? I'm still breastfeeding. We breastfed for X amount of time and it was because of you or your support, or I recommend you to everybody. And it just feels nice to know that you've helped somebody and that they value your support and your time and that you've made a difference to them. I mean, that is by far the biggest upside to this work, you know, the impact that you can have on somebody's life. They'll never forget you. And that's so lovely. The other thing I like about it is I am a mum to two small boys. They're 4 and 6. My 6-year-old has some challenges. Goodness knows we love him. Really do. I sounded so sarcastic, didn't it? Wouldn't change him for the world, bless his heart. But you know, he has some challenges and we can find that challenging. But the benefit of the work that I'm doing is that I can be really flexible around his needs and my younger son's needs. So you know, coronavirus hasn't been as much of a problem for me as it could have been because I've been able to work evenings and weekends and see people via Zoom. And I can continue to do that for as long as is needed. And if one of my boys is poorly or my eldest just can't get into school on a particular day because he's finding it too difficult, then I can usually rearrange, reschedule, or change what I'm doing without having to worry about having pay docked or using up a certain number of family days or something. So, you know, the flexibility is a huge benefit for me. It really, really is. But it's really important. Like I really struggled when I worked. I used to work for local children's centres. I was there for about 6 years, I think, maybe a bit longer than that in the end. And it was a really lovely job and I really enjoyed it. But I was finding it so hard that if my kids were sick, that I would have to take time off. And I hated the guilt of letting people down. And when it's your own business, you can just say to somebody, you know what, can I talk to you tonight when my husband's at home and he can watch the kids? Or, you know, it doesn't feel as bad. So that's nice. Um, yeah, so, and also the fact that breastfeeding is a real passion of mine, and there's always something to learn. I mean, I'm 2 years in now to being a lactation consultant and 6 years into supporting breastfeeding, and I'm still learning stuff every single day. And that's just so like stimulating, right? To be engaging my brain all the time and learning something new is amazing, particularly as I really struggled with school. Had lots of anxiety and depression and was taken out of school back in when I was 13, so what's that, year 9? um, due to my anxiety and depression, and only left school with a handful of low grade GCSEs. So being able to do my education now as an adult, again, it's a privilege. I totally acknowledge this is a privilege, but it's wonderful. It's so great to be using my brain and learning that I do have a brain. Actually, I'm not some thick, uneducated person who doesn't know anything. I have a brain and it works. That's really nice. And of course, the people that I meet, right? I mean, my colleagues, the mums, the dads, the partners, the friends, the families. You know, I'm so lucky to have this job. And I think there's definitely an element of, because people pay for you, they almost value you a bit more. And I certainly have a client base, which is nice. Yeah, so I guess it sounds like the benefits by far outweigh the cons, right? You know, the downsides can be big at times and difficult, but it's definitely a job that I do because I'm passionate about it and because I love it, um, and because I love looking after people and helping people, and you know, sharing that journey with them is such a privilege and such an honor, and I really wouldn't change it for the world. It lights up my life. It really does. It's people used to talk to me about how, you know, oh, I'm so passionate about my job, and I used to think I like my job, but I'm not passionate about it. Is that a thing? And then I came into this work, and it's like, oh, this is what it feels like to be passionate about your work. I get it. I get it. It's really hard work. It takes up most of my time if I'm not dealing with the kids, but I love it. Um, so yeah, that's enough. That's me rambling on. I need to get better at not rambling in these videos, I think. But hopefully, you know, you've stayed with me to the end. least some of you maybe have. And the next video I will try and make more, what's the word I'm looking for? Practical, some sensible breastfeeding tips in there rather than just a bit of a ramble. Let me know if you've enjoyed this sort of I don't know, less practical video. Let me know if it's been nice just to sit and listen. If it has, I'll do more, and if it's not, then I won't. I'm still figuring out where this channel's going and what it's going to be like, and I have literally sat here and filmed like 2 weeks worth of videos in an afternoon because, as I said in another video, I have makeup on and my kids are occupied, so let's just bash out a few videos. So yeah, let me know when this goes out what your thoughts are. Like, subscribe, share, all that sort of stuff. Let's help get this channel noticed. Thanks everybody. Bye bye.